Hi everyone, welcome back. So this is the second in a series of short videos that I'm recording about using the R programming language for data science tasks and statistical analyses. So as a quick recap, in the first video, what I did was I talked about installing R on your computer and installing RStudio and getting things all set up and ready to go. And as you can see on the screen in front of you now, what you can see is the RStudio Integrated Development Environment, the IDE, which is the console essentially for RStudio, and it's got these four in kind of like the typical default setup that when you install it, it's got these four windows available. So the one on the left here at the top, this is a script that I've opened and created, and I've already put some commands and some comments in there, some text. Containing the information that I'm going to kind of cover in this particular video. Underneath that, you've got the actual command line. So any syntax that I execute, any commands that I execute from the script above will be executed below in the command line. And if I click there, I can put the cursor. You can see the command line is flashing. So R is ready to execute any commands that we send to the command line, the terminal or the command line interface. In the top right here, we've got what's called the environment tab. There's nothing, it's empty at the moment, but this is where if we import a data set, you'll be able to see it up here. If we create variables like I did in the first video, you'll be able to see those in there. And then underneath that, we've got this kind of output window where there are certain tabs in there, such as you can see the files that you can select, plots. We don't have any at the moment because I haven't created any. The tab that's of most interest today, though, is this packages tab. So this is where the packages that are currently installed in R and RStudio on my device are visible. I can see them here. I can see what is on there, what isn't. So when you install R and RStudio, it comes with kind of a default installation of like a base package and a few other things. You can see here there's a number of them that have come installed by default. The ones that are ticked are kind of loaded automatically when I launched RStudio. That includes data sets. If I scroll down a bit here, you can see stats. So you've got a base stats package, which comes with quite a bit of functionality. But generally, you're going to need more tools than are available with just the base installation. So depending on the type of analysis you're wanting to do or the type of visualization, what you're wanting to do with the data to clean it, to manipulate it, to wrangle it, that type of thing, you're probably going to need other software libraries, other packages. And with R being a open source programming language, lots of people develop packages, they develop software libraries, and they make them freely available. So whatever type of analysis it is you want to do, someone has probably already created a package to allow you to do that and obtain useful output that you might need. Okay, but what you need to do is install those packages and load them in order to use them. Okay, so that's what we're going to cover in this video, installing and loading packages. So first of all, let's talk about installing packages. So there are a couple of ways to do it. If you look here in this bottom right window, there's this green update button. So if we click on that, that'll update the currently installed packages. Next to it, there's a button that says install. And if I click on that, it will, let me do that now. You see it brings this pop-up window. And in that we can put the name of the package or search for the type of package, the package that we want, and then click install. So there's a GUI, a graphical user interface approach to installing packages. So that's nice and quick and easy, but we're not going to use that. We're actually going to get used to writing syntax and using the command line. So in order to install packages using R, the syntax is, as I've put it here as a comment as an example, but what you do is you type install, then .packages with the S on the end, and then in parentheses you put the package name and you put it in quotes. So you can use double quotes or single quotes, it doesn't matter, either will work, but you need to specify the name. So it's kind of specified like a string or character type of object. And so where I have my cursor now at the end of this line, what I've done is I've said install.packages, and the name of the package that I want to install is called car. in double quotes. And if I pressed Control and Enter on my computer now, it would start installing the car package. It has already done that. So the car package is kind of a package that is useful for doing regression type analyses. Okay. This is the second attempt I've made to record this video. So I did it earlier, and I actually, as part of the video, I was going to just kind of install a few packages. And previously, when using R, I've installed the car package, and I don't recall it being particularly large or taking too long to install. But when I was recording this video earlier today, I kind of ran that command, install packages car, and it took an hour and a half to download and install. And I can show you in the command line below. I've got my command prompt here, but if I can scroll up, you can see it basically downloaded all the different things, the dependencies that were needed, and then it did like a staged install, and it took ages. And at first I sat there kind of waiting for it to finish, but then realized I was gonna have to stop recording and re-record this video. Otherwise it would have been just like an hour and a half of silence whilst we sat there watching this thing install slowly on my computer. I'm not sure why it took so long. But what I would say in relation to that is, if you're a complete beginner and you're new to using R or this type of command line tool to run software analysis where you have to use some sort of syntax, that's likely to be quite frustrating for you. So I knew it was running and it was installing despite all this text you can see below in the terminal. I knew it was working, but it was still quite frustrating just sitting there waiting for it to finish. And if you're new to this and this was your first attempt to do it and you ran this command and then you were sat there for ages, in terms of being effective and useful with your time, you kind of just sat there waiting for this thing to install. It's not very helpful. But what I would say is, although it's frustrating, don't get disheartened with it. It's not something you've done wrong. You're sat there thinking, is it working? Is it not? It was working. Sometimes, software can be glitchy, it can be buggy. There were no real issues with it in the end, but it just took quite a while to run. I'm not sure what the issue was particularly, but you can see now I did run that command. It did install the packages, and if you look here, you can actually see the things. Car and car data weren't installed they weren't installed in my R Studio setup earlier today, but they are now. So that's the type of thing you do, and you could specify another package to install whatever the name of the package is and run commands like that. Install.package is nice and simple. Once you've installed a package though, in order to use it in the session you're currently running, you would then need to actually load it. And the command to do that is, there are a couple of ways to do this. The most common way is just type library and the name of the package, and you'll notice there's a difference here. So I've typed library and then car, which was the package I installed, but I haven't used the double quotes. I've not specified it like it's a string variable or anything like that this time. Because it's installed, I was going to recognize what it is. So what I'm going to do is, I might get some sort of error here, but I will actually risk running that. And you can see I ran that line there. It says by pressing Control and Enter, and now you can see that it has executed library car. You can see that's the line that executed, and it says loading the required package, and it's loaded car data. And the interesting thing to note is, because I've now loaded that package, it's got a tick next to car and car data, so both of those things loaded up and they are available for me to use. So a couple of other things that are worth mentioning is the common way to load a package that you have already installed is to use library. And if you don't have that package, it will kick up an error message. There's another command which is less commonly used called require. So you can see here library, and then you put the name of the package in the parentheses. Another command is require. They both perform the function of loading installed packages, but require is usually used inside other functions to check the availability of a package. So let's have a look at that here. So what I've got here is some syntax where I'm using like this if statement and I'm saying if, and then I've used the exclamation mark, which is in the syntax that we're using here in R. That's a negation symbol essentially. That means not. So I've put if not require and then the package name psych, and then I'm saying install.packages psych. So what I'm saying here is to R, I've nested require inside another function. I'm saying to R, try to load, use require and try to load the psych package, which is another package which is useful for psychological research and data analysis. And if it's not possible, so if it's not possible to load it, not possible to require psych, then install the package psych. Okay. So, and another example underneath there, you can see I've used slightly different syntax on both occasions. I'm not going to run that top one. Psych isn't installed on at the moment. I don't have it. You can see if I scroll down to the P's, I don't have psych installed. So I will install that at some point, but I don't want to risk doing it now in case it takes a long time and ruins this video for a third time. Okay, another option there is if I could type if not require mass, so mass is another package, and then you can see this time what I've done is I've used curly braces and I've kind of used two commands. I've done install.packages mass in double quotes, the name of the package, and then a semicolon, and then library mass. So what I'm doing in this second line here is I'm saying use require to try and load the mass package. If it's not possible to load it, install the package mass, and then use library to load it. Okay, so the difference between require and library is if you run library on a package you haven't installed, it will throw an error telling you the package isn't available. But if you run require on a package that you haven't installed, it will return like a true or false warning saying, yes, it's available, no, it's not available. But if you've got a block of code that contains other instructions, if it's possible to, it'll continue executing any remaining code in that block that we've run. Okay, so another interesting thing, if I go back up, it's worth pointing out is let me just do it here in fact. So RStudio is quite good in that it will prompt you when you start typing commands. So if I was wanting to install a package, I could start typing install, and you can see it's already come up with some command line prompts there for me, install.packages, and then I can sort of auto complete that if I wanted, which is helpful when you're kind of learning what the commands are. If it's easy to forget what the syntax was, what the order was. Okay, so a question if you're a complete beginner, if you've never used this before, and I remember feeling this myself, is if you've not used R before, how do you know what packages do you need in order to conduct some sort of analysis? And as you can see from the car package that I mentioned earlier, it's not often obvious from the name of the package what it does. So car, don't know why it's called car, don't know why it was given that name, but car is a package for you doing regression modeling, as I mentioned previously. So what I would suggest is if you want to do a certain type of analysis, it's going to require some sort of problem solving, and this is quite a common thing when you're having to do programming, to do coding, to do data science tasks, is you're going to have to start searching the internet yourself to try find some of the answers. So you could conduct an internet search for the packages associated with the type of analysis you want to perform. So I kind of did this, let me bring up Firefox. I kind of did this earlier. I thought, so what if I wanted to conduct a linear discriminant analysis type of model on some data, for example. So what I typed into Google was R package linear discriminant analysis, and it kicks up loads of different results, and a useful one there is the top. It comes up with the CRAN documentation in relation to different things, but this first one looked pretty good, linear discriminant analysis in R from R bloggers, so a blog about using R for data science. And that provides you with plenty of information, but it also gives information here about it's telling you which packages you need to load. So it's telling you you need to load DevTools, ggord, mass, scikit-clar, so that you know straight away that you need to install them. And it's then there below that there's a kind of dataset example, and then there's actually a code example of how to actually run this particular analysis. So what you will find is as you're doing your kind of research, trying to figure out what it is you want to do, what type of analysis you want to run, you'll find information about the packages you need to install and need to load, but you probably also find some useful code examples that demonstrate how to do that analysis. Okay, so I am going to stop talking now. I'm going to set something running and then end this video. So one thing that we'll need in these videos moving forward, I'm going to focus a lot to start with on importing data, tidying data up, the types of the data types that you use in R, and then we'll look at plotting and visualizing data, and then move on to maybe some more statistical analysis stuff later. One package that is really useful, certainly for wrangling and tidying data and for plotting and visualization, is the tidyverse. And it's actually a collection of packages that are really good for organizing your data. So for conducting what is probably 80% of data science tasks. So the tidyverse is good for that. And if I run this has got quite a big package with lots of dependencies. So I'm going to run this now and then leave it running essentially. You can see it's starting to run in the command line below. It's going to take ages to do that, and we don't really, this video is already long enough, so we don't need to sit here. But what you will see is, we'll wait a second though, and hopefully we'll see it start to install some stuff. First of all, it's going to check. You can see here it's checked for dependencies, and it's looked to see if we've got anything already installed. And then what you'll see is some progress bars as it kind of downloads the different dependencies and things that we'll need for the tidyverse. It's even given me this prompt here. Do you want to install Sausage, which needs pipe compilation? Yes. That's probably why my installation of CAR took a long time, because it had to then, once it had downloaded them, it had to compile them. But you can see what's happening now in the command terminal is these things are being downloaded from the CRAN, the Comprehensive R archive, to my RStudio, and it's then, having downloaded the things that you need, it's going to kind of unpack them and check the signatures, make sure they've successfully worked. Okay, so I'll stop this video here. Thank you for watching. The next video, what I'll do is I'll probably talk about some resources that are good for studying, some books and things that are good if you want to supplement your learning about R. And then in the video after that, I think we'll go on and talk about data types, and then start playing with some data, and maybe we'll play with some of the existing data sets that are built into R and RStudio and some of the packages, but we'll also look at importing data and handling our own data sets. Okay, thanks for listening, and I will see you next time.